your body, and then come back years later. Who is this creature in the mirror with wrinkles? And what happened to the vibrant young woman? Okay, so that's ultimately, if you condense all those three consequences into one thing, is you're just missing out on life. Alright? So now that we have completed terrifying you, let's go into what mindfulness actually is. Next slide. So mindfulness has its roots in an Eastern meditation tradition, but its secular, contemporary form was pioneered by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. And those of you who already do mindfulness will be familiar with Mr. Kabat-Zinn's work. And he defines mindfulness in a very particular way, which we're going to look at now. So in his definition, mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. It's a mouthful, and each of those phrases means something, so we're going to unpack that statement one at a time. Alright, so let's look at the first part of the definition. So paying attention on purpose, and for some of us this might be, of course, but no, really, there's such a thing as vaguely paying attention, and then there's paying attention, which I expect is what you're doing now. Okay? Not vaguely. Vaguely paying attention is, when you're listening to music, but you're doing laundry, or you're listening to music, but you're doing math, you're listening to music while you're driving. So listening to music can be done in a vague, secondary, offhand sort of manner when it's not your primary thing. Okay? Or, and this is kind of sad, eating. So we're vaguely aware that we're eating. We're vaguely aware that the box of chocolate chips now has half its contents. And it was supposed to be a gift. Okay, so we're vaguely aware, but we're not really paying attention. So those are common activities in our daily life where we're just vaguely paying attention, as opposed to really paying attention. When I was young and full of hope, I used to listen to music like this. I would literally put on a CD, lie down on my couch, and close my eyes, because I would do this thing where first time the track would play, I would just listen to the percussion. And then the next time the same track would play, I would start listening to the strings. Next round, I would start listening to the wind instruments. Okay? And if it happened to have vocals, then I would do that last. And if they were doing harmonizations, then I'd listen to different primary and then the second voice and stuff like that. So I know it sounds cultured, but this is really just have an air supply, okay? So I would really just spend hours listening to music that way. And my mom would come, you should. It's Dancing Queen, serious. So that's listening to music on purpose. And you can do the same thing with food. Okay? For those of you who are into coffee, okay? It's like it's a religious experience. Okay, and that's just smelling the thing, and then you look at the color, and then you feel the warmth, and you actually taste it, swirl it around. Ganon. That is consuming something on purpose. Not you've drunk, 5 cups, and then, what am I so shaky? I swear I didn't take my inhaler medicine, okay, because the steroids in it make you shake. Okay, so that's the difference between paying attention on purpose and just paying attention because it's there. Alright, so that's the first part of the definition. Second part, paying attention in the present moment. So, most of the time, we are either dwelling in the past or dwelling in the future. That is the curse of consciousness. So, human beings have this thing called consciousness, and consciousness, among other attributes, means being able to inhabit 3 different realms of time simultaneously. Well, not simultaneously, in sequence, but very fast sequences. But we have the past, that's called memory. There is the future, that's called anticipation. And then there is a really tiny intersection called the present. And 99.99% of the time, we live in yesterday land or tomorrow land. So for anyone who's ever meditated, you will get really, really clear about that. Okay, you start meditating and it's like, what did I have for dinner yesterday? Oh, I want to go to the new restaurant tomorrow. But then I was so bad last month. When kaya ka lose 5 pounds by next week? Pero paano na yun si ano? It's like past, future. It's like a tense ball. But we're very rarely here. Guess where life happens? Here. Life happens only now. Oops, that's gone. Now, oops, that's gone. But we're always thinking about then or someday. Do you know that someday isn't on the calendar? But we make so many appointments for someday. Oh, let's go out for dinner. Sige, someday. Wala naman someday sa calendar. Wala naman sa giving journal someday. Tapos check wala. Yeah? So we're either in the past or in the future. We're almost never here. Okay, so that's what we mean by paying attention to the present. Alright? And then the third aspect of the definition is paying attention non-judgmentally. Okay, so what do we mean by this? It means, again, human beings, whenever something happens to us, we're like machines with just 2 buttons, like or dislike. Ay, ayoko yung suot niya. Ay, nakakainis yung boses niya. Ay, no. Ay, gusto ko yan. Ay, basta, sana ganun na ako. So it's like we live in just 2 categories, like or dislike. And fine, if you're more sophisticated, you have this shades in between, you know, from mild distaste to utter revulsion. You know, may mga shades na ganyan. But really, it's either like or dislike. And most of our responses fall like or dislike, like or dislike. When you're being mindful, it's not that you stop liking or disliking things. It's just that you manage to not react emotionally. It's kind of like Zen. Yeah, I don't really like this, but I'm not gonna freak out. Parang ganun. Okay? Some of you will have moments of those when you're really high or something. But when your mindfulness practice has really matured, you can really stay in that space where something happens to you and you're not losing your head. Like somebody really upsets you, but instead of flipping out, instead of cursing, instead of screaming, you can just really, yeah, I get that this is unpleasant, but there's equanimity. So that's what we mean when we say that in mindfulness, there is a non-judgmental component. Okay? So if you put everything together, it's paying attention on purpose, not vaguely. It's about being in the present moment, not yesterday or tomorrow. And it's about maintaining equanimity. So it's not that you stop liking or disliking, but there's enough detachment that you don't lose your emotional balance.